Hey y'all, how you guys doing? It's Robert with Chaos Garage 1. I really appreciate you guys following this video series. It's been kind of arduous. I'm not really a video guy. I said that in the very first video. I'm just old school. I don't do a whole lot of videos. And then right in the middle of the videos, I moved 3 states away. So I moved my business with all my CNC machines and my house and my kids. I got 6 girls. So it's been crazy the last 5 months. So it's been a while since I posted anything, but man, I really appreciate the comments that you guys are putting in there. And I posted a ton more videos on YouTube in order to kind of finish everything up. You know, the editing's not the same as it was on the first 7 videos, but that's because I don't have all the editing stuff that I had when I was doing the other videos. But I wanted to get the video content that I'd recorded online so that you guys can kind of see this thing come together. It's been great. So this video, I just want to kind of do a recap of some things and go over the guitar, lessons that I learned, mistakes I made, things I learned to do different next time. You know, it's a learning curve, the whole thing. It was from the beginning, and that's why I was doing an in-depth video. A lot of the guys were hitting me on the comments, just too much talking and explaining what you did instead of showing us. So the last several videos, 8, 9, 10, is a lot of me actually doing the work rather than me just doing it and come back and telling you. But, you know, I was doing it at my business, so I had to find time to do it when I was not doing business work. Usually it was in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning before we opened. And then sometime throughout the day, I would sneak in one guitar task or another. So I had no choice but to just do recaps. But if I was looking for a video to answer questions that I had on building a guitar, I would want a few things explained to me, and which I did. I was looking for a ton of videos. I did a ton of research, a ton of reading. And there's just a lot of content out there that I had a hard time finding or understanding, which caused me to just have to dig and dig and dig and dig. And I felt like I did probably about as much research time as I did build time. So anyway, I appreciate you guys' patience and you guys following everything. I hope you enjoy the other videos. So let's take a look. Yeah, so I'm in Chaos Garage right now. I've got a crazy setup in my garage. Anyway, all right, let's flip this bad boy around. Okay, so here's the guitar. You have to excuse it's got fingerprints and stuff all over it because we actually had it out playing it last night. I wasn't. Again, I'm a guitar builder and collector. I like to call myself a builder now, but not very good player. A couple guys in the neighborhood come by last night and they were jamming it out, and I really got to hear it for the first time, which is why I decided to go ahead and finish this series out. So let's take a look at it. So these are the knobs I ended up going with, not the ones that I showed on the original pot video, which I just posted, video 11, I believe. They were more classic knobs. I decided to go with these here, transparent, because it brought the gold of the traditional into the new style black in order to fit my black outline that I have here, which is not traditional for Les Pauls. Epiphone did some black, you know, but I really liked that darker look. Anyway, pickups, I went with humbuckers on these. These are Wilkerson M series humbuckers. They really turned out great. They look great, of course dirty, but they look great. They play just phenomenal. They sound great. Real easy to install, real easy to set the depths and the spacing for the strings. So that was really good. This is that switch I showed you that I swapped out with the one that came with the pots. And then, like I said, I ended up putting much better pots in here. I've got to look up the brand that I put in there. I can't remember. Like I said, it's been 5 or 6 months. But I'll post the brand on there, and I'm really happy with these. These are not the Gibson style though. They don't click this way. Those are incredibly hard to find. I went with more of the antique-ish style knob indicators here. My finish has held up great. When I take a buffer to this thing, you see it in some of the last videos how shiny it is, and that's just because I took a buffing wheel with wax. I used a guitar wax. There's some guys using turtle wax actually that I've seen videos online, and it turns out great, but it buffs out really nice. So this is even after a night of us messing around with it. So the new hardware that I got, so I talked to you about the adjustable, I'll come back to this here in a minute, the adjustable nut. Well, I also, you've seen me installing this in one of the videos. So I had to learn intonation and how to tune the intonation. It's not tuning the guitar, such as up here, but it's setting the intonation on each string. That was a learning curve. I really knew nothing about that. So good thing, thanks to Pappy in Colorado. He helped me set my intonation and show me how, and then there's some great videos that Stewmac puts out. I'm going to put the link in this one. I know there's the last couple videos, I haven't been able to link any videos or content to it, but I'm going to link that Stewmac video to this one. But they really explain intonation, how to set intonation, electric intonation. And really you do that by going off the 12th fret, by either hitting the 12th harmonic or hitting open string and then closed, and then you should see the same note on the 12th fret on your guitar tuner or what have you. But you can tune the guitar up top, and you have to have consistent tuning all the way down. So you don't want to get a chord up top, and then as you work your way down the fretboard, the tone and the note actually change as you're playing that same string. So you want it the same all the way down. So the intonation is absolutely important. So I would definitely watch that video, rewatch it, have it playing when you set your intonation, if that's what you do. Anyway, so a little bit about the fretboard. You know, the fretboard turned out really well. I like it. I love this like two-tone thing that's going on because of the grain that's going through here. I kind of like that. But I really would have liked it to be ebonized a little bit darker than this. I think I went wrong there, and I kind of knew that, and I talked about that in the video, that Stewmac's original instructions said to spray everything with wood sealer. The moment I did that, I immediately thought that it was going to seal it. The steel wool on the wood did not take it up as much as I'd like. I would love to have this whole board just super, super dark, almost black. But it's got character of its own. And that's something that I learned is don't seal it in the beginning. Leave it completely dry and open, tape it off, seal the rest of the guitar before doing work on it. Come back, and that way the ink will really sink into that wood. I still think the ink is the better way to go rather than stain, but there's a lot of different people using different products that I see pretty good results from. So let's see, this is the, if you can see it, this is the truss rod cover that I went with here. So still kind of the traditional bell. The traditional bell for Gibson has 2 holes. I have to use a 3-hole with this one, so I really struggled with that. in order to, find one that I really liked. And I just found a black and gold one that said custom on it versus the other one that said custom Les Paul. That way I didn't have double Les Paul here. So this is that gold Les Paul that I put on. Like I said, it wasn't a water slide. It was actually a sticker, a gold plated sticker. But if you remember right, I did say that it was kind of brittle. So just different cleaning and stuff. It has a tendency to come up. I broke the end of the E off right here, if you see that. And then you can still see a little bit of the glue around it. And I'm just really cautious about getting in there and really kind of cleaning that up. And I decided not to. I originally wanted to put the clear coat over the top of it, but I'm afraid of getting that milky edge around it. So I put it on after the clear coat. I got to figure out what I want to do for the next guitar. Most people are using water slides and then they'll clear coat over the top of it. But a water slide is just a solid piece of plastic with writing on it. So I'm afraid I'm going to get that square outline around the plastic of that little milky edge or whatever that you see when you put a clear coat over something like that. So we'll have to do some test run on pieces of wood before I start my next one, before I do that. So the adjustable nut worked out great. Like I said, I kind of dug into it and filed everything down to where the plate underneath of it sets. Sorry if it's kind of hard to see. And then you can see it sets at an angle that I don't like. And that's mainly because the adjustment screw here. So it was too tall for the string height. So I actually put it in, strung it up, set my rear hardware here on the height that I was really wanting the strings here, and then came in here to match it on the front, and the adjustment, it was just way too high. So I did put it on the CNC mill and I milled the bottom of it down, measured how far I needed to go down in thousandths and took that off. I think I took like 4 or 5 thousandths off that. And brought it down because it was pretty high up front. And then when I put it back on, in order to raise and lower it, the only adjustment is this little screw in the front, which raises it from the front and tips it up and down. So the good thing is I measured everything with a set of calipers on the height that I needed. And then from there, the reason why we raised it is we were getting a little bit of vibration. My action was a little bit too low for this guitar, so we had to raise it up just a little bit, just a really little bit. But between the front and the back, and then of course every time I adjusted this, I had to change the intonation. So it was a process. It took me a couple hours to get that all done, but it doesn't move. I didn't screw it down. The pressure from the strings holds it down. It doesn't move. If I grab a hold of this thing and really push on it, I can probably get it to shift. But everything stays there really nice, and it's got the roller bearings inside of here. So there's no real tension on the string. The string is just allowed to lay freely across there, and I get really good tone with everything. And I don't know if you can see it, but you can see my action on here is pretty consistent all the way through. I measured everything when I was setting, and then from there, if I needed to raise one or the other, I would raise them both. I was getting a little bit of vibration down here, but a little bit of truss rod adjustment, and bridge and nut adjustments, and everything is great. The gentleman who played it last night said, man, this has got great finger action. He was hitting harmonics all the way up and down the fretboard, and he was loving every last minute of it. It wasn't hard. I've got Ernie Ball Super Slinkies on here. It took a while to stretch those out. I actually let it, boxed it up, brought it here, hung it on the wall, because I got a big collection of guitars hanging on my wall, and let it hang for about 4 or 5 months and just let those things just kind of stretch and settle in, and then retuned it. And man, she held all night last night. So that was pretty good. Let's flip it over. nice and easy. Okay, so the tuning keys up here, I went with the Geiger Professionals. These have a 1 in 21 gear in them. These things look great. They're nice and stout and stable. Really fine tune with these, really easy to turn, very little pressure. Even when everything is tuned up, very little pressure on these things in order to move them and turn them. They do great with this. I did go in and pre-drill everything. So I put everything into the peg hole where it needed to go, and I came in and I marked each hole with a scribe, and then took them out, pre-drilled everything in order to keep my finish from peeling up. So everything turned out great. One thing I would do different on the next guitar is I would use grain filler. You can see the grain, definitely, right? You can even see the grain in the bottom of the neck. That's like light shining off of that, but you can see the grain in the neck. And I think because I moved from Colorado, which is very dry climate, I moved to Oklahoma, which is very wet climate. I'm getting some of this is opening up a little bit. So you can actually see bare wood down inside here, which you couldn't see that in December when I left Colorado. I left Colorado in January actually, but you could not see any of that. And I noticed some down in here as well. And I think that's the moisture down here, although this wood is really sealed, so I don't know. Anyway, you can see the grain. I wanted it to be a little bit better than that. I wanted it to be, you know, more looking like black glass. Although it does feel like black glass. All of those are full. So I can't really feel any of those. I can definitely see them all the way up and down. And the same on the front of the guitar. Not so much here because I did a lot of sanding on this. Really fine. I spent a lot of time just really working the neck so that it was nice and smooth for the hand. So you don't see that here really. But on the body. So never worked with grain filler before, but I definitely see why it's used, and I understand that now, and I think grain filler is probably the way to go. The only thing that I have is, like, Stewmac kit came with 1 bag of grain filler, and I'm wondering if I fill the grain on the body and then fill the grain on the face here, then am I going to change some of the wood tone inside of this grain on this laminate top. So I definitely didn't want to do that. I really think that paint job turned out nice. So I would definitely, but I would definitely use grain filler. It's really hard. It's harder to see here, but you can see it a little bit. Sorry, I've got this light right above the bar. There you go. You can see a little bit of it in here. But like I said, you can't feel it. It's all nice and full. So I was hoping some of that really fine sanding that I did would put some of that sawdust down inside there, but I also blew it out before I did anything because I blew it out with air. Another thing that I learned, let me turn this thing over. Sorry, I don't have my camera holder or anything. I'm doing this at home versus work, is inside of the switch. So I was having problems with the pots. The pots were cutting out on me. I think it wasn't picking up the forward humbucker by the neck. I replaced the pots. Everything seemed to work after that, except for the humbucker. The humbucker kept cutting out. And I think what it was is one of the wires in here, because it's really tight inside of here, especially for the upgraded switch that I put in here, is kind of wide. So after you go in and solder the wires to them, you got really just a little bit of clearance in there, not much. And I think one of the wires was touching the copper shielding on the side and was causing that to cut out. I took this apart, made sure nothing was touching, moved things around a little bit, screwed it back on. Everything's worked since then. So I would definitely pay attention to that when you put that copper shielding in, but that copper shielding is definitely important to keep any kind of RF frequency or electrical frequency out of your humbuckers. You got a lot of wires running back and forth across this thing, from ground wires to power wires, all kinds of things, right? So to shield everything, to keep everything from takes down hum and feedback and all of that. So let's see. You know, I went brass on everything, so even the strap connections I went brass. But I really love my frets. My frets turned out really good. Although, if you remember right, when I was going in and finishing up on the second video, I think it's like video 10 or something, 9, when I was using the file on here, when I redid the frets, I made a comment that you got to be careful with it because there's a possibility that you can put scratches in the board. Well, I didn't see how much I scratched it until after I ebonized it. But if you can see it right here? Right, so I've got some scratches in there, in the fretboard. Not many, just a few on these lower frets right here. I'm not sure why on the lower frets versus the upper frets. I really don't have. Here's one here, and here's one here. But I've got a few marks in here. They're more indents than anything. It doesn't seem to affect anything. You can't really feel them. They just kind of really popped out, and they show because of that ebonizing that I did on there. So I would be careful there. I would lay down, I didn't lay down the tape before I did that. I just went in and leveled the frets with the fret sanding block, and then I went right to town with that diamond grit file, and I should have went in and laid that plastic tape down individual, in between each one of these before I started that filing. I was afraid that the thickness of the tape would affect my height and stuff, but it's really the shape and everything that you're looking for anyway. So, anyway, that's my guitar. That's my Robert James custom Les Paul. And I will get it plugged in and show you guys how it sounds. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching a Chaos Garage with the Les Paul build. I appreciate it. Thank you.